On July 11th, an event called Pride in the Park took place in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. Organizers expected some pushback and protesters. Sure enough, a small group of Panhandle Patriots showed up, some with guns. Blocks away, a citizen noticed a large group of men in blue polos and khakis loading into a Uhaul truck. That citizen called the police and said that it looked like a small army. Police pulled the truck over an eighth of a mile from the Pride event. Inside, 31 members of Patriot Front were prepared to riot at the park. They were all zip-tied and arrested and booked on misdemeanor charges of conspiracy to riot. Their mugshots, names, and cities of residence have now been released to the public. Bail was set at $300, and all members have now bonded out. Hey, everybody, and welcome to True Crime Paranormal with the Psychic Sisters. This is Katie Weaver, and I'm here with my sister, co host, and partner in crime, Christy Brower. Hello.
Hello. Hey, everybody.
How's it going?
It's going really well.
Wonderful.
Really well. Just got home from a great PFLAG meeting, which always makes me feel good about my community. And
Yeah. No, tell. I know what PFLAG is, but other people may not. So expand a little, please.
well, PFLAG, the name is old, and so we don't give what the acronym stands for anymore. But it's a support organization for the LGBT community,
Mm-hmm.
for parents, allies, members of the community, friends, people of all ages. We are just
Mm-hmm.
a little community organization. We get together once a month, and we have a Facebook group, and we're a place for resources and really just friendship and support. We live in
Yeah.
a place where it's not always doesn't always feel safe. So we have a
Mm-hmm.
coffee house, the Egyptian, where we meet. That's a safe place, and it's
Yeah.
a lot of fun. I really enjoy it, and it's interesting how it's a different group every month.
Yeah.
Often it's never see the same two people twice. It's just like if people really need some support, they need some support, and then they come. And that's
Mm-hmm.
that's how it was tonight. It was great.
I love that. Awesome.
Yeah,
Well, very good. Well, it is Wednesday. This is our
it
Wednesday
is.
case, our Wednesday episode. And yeah, we've already blown through the week. I can't believe we're already on the Wednesday episode, to be honest. But here we are. I just am sitting in absolute awe and sadness of what's happening in Yellowstone.
Right? Oh my gosh, you guys, it's so bizarre.
hmm So, what happened is that there was quite a bit of snowpack still to melt, added by a bunch of new snow that happened a couple of weeks ago that really, really crippled a part of the park then. And then over the weekend, they got a whole bunch of snow, or I'm sorry, of rain. And the rain just helped speed up the melting of that snow. And it has flooded Yellowstone. It's washed out bridges, it's washed out roads, houses. It's not
Yeah,
just
whole
Yellowstone.
buildings into the river.
Yeah, on the west side of Yellowstone, the Island Park area is flooding.
Yeah,
On other sides of Yellowstone, other communities are flooding into Montana. It is so
it
bad, and
is.
they're not done yet because it's supposed to rain all weekend, and there's
Yeah.
still more snow to melt. So
Well, they
it's crazy.
evacuated 10,000 people from Yellowstone Park.
Yeah, and the people that are in Gardner are trapped.
Yeah,
They
they
can't
can't
even
get
get
out.
out. The bridges and what roads are washed out. And the water is not potable because of the floods. And they're saying don't even boil water and drink it. You'll still make yourself sick. So, yeah, they're
Mm,
using park resources to fly and potentially National Guard resources too. I'd read earlier today to fly help in to these people and bring medicine and food and water and whatnot until they can figure out how to get them out or at least get some kind of a temporary road situation going so that they can come and go as they need to. It is something. and the entire park is currently closed, and that hasn't happened in a really long time, decades. That hasn't happened in
No.
decades.
No, not at all. This is a very unusual situation.
Mhm. Montana doesn't flood. They don't flood.
No,
This is something very new for them. So, anyway, our hearts are really with everyone who's affected by this. The people who
definitely.
live in and around the park and work in and around the park, all of the small businesses that are affected, the tourist companies, and all of the tourists that were either here or coming here to go to Yellowstone, whose plans have been dashed for now. Yeah.
For we don't
And
really
of
even know
course,
how long.
the wildlife, because
That's what worries
that's
me.
what, yeah, me too. Me too. I know my
Hopefully
husband said, "My
everything's gonna
God, are
leave
we
it up
gonna
high.
see, yeah, carcasses of bison, washing up on shores
Mhm.
and stuff? My God, that would be horrifying." I hope that's not the case. But
Me too, but gosh, no, this was definitely not something anybody was expecting.
mm-mm, no, not at all. So we're keeping a close eye on that and sending all of our love and prayers up there.
Mhm.
And here, I just bought my season pass too.
Yeah, you did. No.
Oh
I've been
well.
wanting to make a weekend trip and haven't done it yet. Gonna have to wait a while now, huh?
Well, Grand Teton National Forest is open.
There you go.
And a lot of what you see in Yellowstone, you also see in Grand Teton, and so there
Mhm.
is that, but, don't say that
And
too
then
loud.
you
The
get to go
locals
to
probably don't want you
Jackson.
to.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and you get to go to Jackson Hole, which is a fun place to go too.
mhm, for sure. So there are some silver linings, but yeah, gosh, hate to see it.
Mhm, most definitely.
Well, we have a big episode for you
Me
today,
too.
and Christy, you're gonna kick off our first segment, so I'm gonna kick the mic over to you for that.
All right. Well, I have a little WTF. Well, what are you laughing about? You forgot the name of the segment, didn't you?
Yeah, I
I
did.
knew it. I told her before, you guys, I promise. I told her what my segments were. Well,
I know
you've
the
probably,
second one. I do know the second one. I'm gonna say it is the crime update, so I
yes.
remember. Now I
Well,
have
good
to
job.
store it somewhere in here. We'll try. Anyway,
Well,
carry on.
hopefully now you remember. All right. So you've probably heard of the baby Holly situation. Baby
Yes.
Holly went missing in Texas. Baby Holly's parents were murdered, and she went missing about 40 years ago. And due to, you guessed it, some DNA, it turns out baby Holly is alive and well and has been living in Oklahoma. Her parents were killed in 1981. She just disappeared and no one ever knew what happened to her.
Well, so did her parents.
Right, they did too. And then their bodies were found and she was not found.
Mhm.
So here's what we know now, because there's been a lot of like, but who raised her and where has she been all this time?
Yeah.
So apparently, it is believed, because this is a cult that is now defunct, but people who are experts on the cult Christ family say that baby Holly's parents were very likely members of Christ family. Everything about what was going on with them at the time
Oh.
is matching up with what happened with that
Okay,
church.
that really makes sense. Okay.
And here's the thing, it's very likely that baby Holly was actually given away before her parents were killed, because the Christ family people were not allowed to have children. And so some of them actually joined the cult and gave up their children to join the cult.
Oh my God.
Yeah. How crazy is that?
Whoa.
So,
I
baby
feel like that's
Holly,
what Christ would want them to do.
right?
This
Sure, give
this
away
tracks.
your child. This is so weird. So,
Ugh.
what happened is that a couple of members of what they believe to be this Christ family cult um, brought baby Holly to a church before, after the death of the people. Not sure,
Right.
because
We don't know.
no one really knows. Um, and turned her over and basically said, this child needs to be adopted out. They have no parents.
I had read they were women in robes,
Yep.
barefoot women in robes.
Yep, barefoot, white robes,
Mhm.
which tracks with what that cult used to wear. The time frame matches up with when this baby was given to this church.
Mhm.
So the Christ family was led by Charles McHugh, who went by the name Lightning Amen, because of course he was. I don't even know what to say about all of that
Not
because
Lightning McQueen. Do not get this mixed up.
not Lightning McQueen, Lightning Amen.
Can I get a lightning amen? Yes.
Right, right. So they were sort of roaming nomadically through California, Arizona, and Texas in the late 70s and early 80s. This
Mhm.
happened in 81. They were based on the Bible, but Lightning Amen, he kind of varied quite a bit
Weird.
and kind of made stuff up that he
What?
it was a real loose interpretation. Let's just put it that way.
Where have we ever seen that before? I
Right?
don't
That's
know.
so unusual. So the Klauses were from Louisville, Texas, and they just disappeared sometime in late 1980. And then their bodies were found in 1981 in Houston, of course, with no baby Holly with them.
Mhm.
We don't know how or why they died yet. Like that, there's no answer to that just yet.
Mhm.
But it is believed that they turned over Holly, and that members of the Christ family are who took her to the church, who basically then sent her into the system where she was adopted.
Wow.
So strange.
Mhm.
So very, very strange.
Mhm.
And but
Wow.
I guess maybe for Holly, there's beginning to be some answers for her. I mean, I don't know. These are not happy answers by any means.
No. No. Wow.
Um, Mr. Amen, Lightning, was known for twisting the meaning of individual scripture, individual verses, in order to manipulate his
What?
followers. I know, so surprising. Um, and apparently he was a psychopath and he hurt people and he was dangerous. What? No. Cult leaders are never like that.
These just couldn't be things that are happening. No.
Right.
And we've done a big segment, a big study on cults recently, and
Hmm.
it hasn't been here on the main page. It's mostly been over on Patreon, but we
Right.
have covered several cults recently. Uh, well, this shit sounds familiar. I'll just say that.
Right,
Yeah.
doesn't it? I mean, it's just the same story and the controlling of people, but the ability to control people to the level that they would give up their infant daughter is
Hmm.
crazy to me.
Yeah.
But it appears that that is what happened. So there's more investigation happening, of course. And it's
Yeah.
good to know that Holly's alive and well, and probably great that she didn't grow up in that dumb cult.
Yeah.
But we still don't know what really happened to her parents. But we'll continue to update on this case because, well, it's very interesting, don't you think?
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm going to kick the mic back to you, well, and me for the main case.
Yes. So this is our group case for the week.
Yeah.
And of course, we are talking about the stuff that happened in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho over the weekend.
Yeah.
So, and I will say, multiple listeners have reached out to us to see, if we're good and if we were there. We weren't. It's Coeur d'Alene is a long, long ways from us. Coeur d'Alene is in the Panhandle of Idaho, and
Idaho is
we're
kind of like two states, and we're in the
yeah,
bottom half, and they're
hmm
in the top half.
yeah. So we were not. But what we know happened is that an event was planned for a Pride in the Park event. And, in researching this case, the thing that I found pretty shocking and interesting was that they were expecting protesters. The police were expecting protesters. They had already amped up police presence quite a lot. And they had protesters there. Oh, sorry,
Mm-hmm.
wrong picture. They had protesters there, wandering around with ARs strapped to their backs.
Things have been rough for a very long time in northern Idaho.
Mm-hmm.
Very well known for neo Nazis, and I know that the just wandering around downtown with guns strapped to their back to let people know who's really in charge around here has
Mm-hmm.
been a thing with those Panhandle Patriots for quite a while.
Yes, it has. It has. And honestly, I mean, that's really shocking enough and terrible
Yeah,
enough, honestly. But then, of course, we know that a citizen saw in a hotel parking lot a large number of men cramming into the back of a U-Haul, and they thought that looked sus, and it
right?
was.
Can you
So they
imagine
called the
seeing that?
police,
Like, how could you
right?
ever think that that wasn't something that had nefarious purposes going on,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, for sure. So they called the police, and this is where honestly I am really pretty surprised and impressed. The, the police responded. They pulled this
Yeah.
truck over and they arrested all 31 people. There were 29 people in the truck and 2 people in the cab. These men all had on khakis, blue shirts, some with logos and words on them, some without, tan caps, and white balaclavas on their face, and sunglasses.
Mhm.
Wearing a white covering on your face. Now, where have we seen that before?
Seems familiar.
Hmm. Weird. Well,
Hmm.
that's what they did. And
Yeah.
the police picked them up because this was sus as hell, right?
Mhm.
And they had them all on their knees with their hands zip tied behind their backs.
This is a picture I like to see right here.
Yeah, yeah, we'd love to see it right here. And we should mention too, it looks like most of them had like jack boots on.
They did, and they had riot gear, shields, spears, concealed weapons, smoke
Yeah,
bombs,
did they have
flashbangs.
any concealed weapons? I haven't heard anything about actual
That is something that I
guns.
heard today, is that
Hmm.
yes, they were concealed carry,
Well, that wouldn't
which is
surprise me, but
interesting because Idaho is an open carry state.
mhm.
Um,
Yeah,
that's
but
why
bringing
people
guns
like to
across state lines,
not cool.
this
And
gets
that
spicy.
there's a lot, don't quote me. This is an unsubstantiated source right now,
Mhm.
but that is what I heard today, is
Uh-huh.
that many of them were concealed carrying. So we'll see, if that comes out.
Mhm.
Honestly, I don't know if that'll get reported because Idaho's pretty famous for making sure nobody's blaming the guns for anything.
True, but the FBI got involved immediately.
They did, and that's probably where we will hear more of the truth.
So these guys were all charged. They were all taken in and they were all charged. And they're all charged with the same thing, and it's a misdemeanor. It is conspiracy to riot charges. And the reason that those are the charges that they got were because their leader had paperwork with him, basically a written manifesto of why they were there and what they were going to do. And that was riot. Not
Mm,
just at the park. They were planning on going to several different places in town.
right.
So basically, they were coming to just upend Coeur d'Alene in every way they could.
And poor
And
Coeur d'Alene,
so,
they have already been upended by this crap a
mm,
lot.
hmm
It's it's a rough place to live. It's worse
hmm
than where we are. I would
much
not
worse.
wanna live there
Yeah.
for anything.
Mm-mm, mm-mm. No. So that's roughly what happened. They have all bailed out. Bond was set for each of them at $300. And so I now they're just all in charge of contacting the court and setting up a court date. And it looks to me like that it's already happening. There's a bunch of dates already set for July and for August.
Right.
If found guilty, they could face up to 6 months in jail and or up to $1,000 fine. So it's not a lot, but it's something. It also sends a message that we don't want this shit in our communities. But the most important part of this is this. that a whole bunch of the members of this group were unmasked because they haven't been in the past. They've been pretty elusive. And most of the places that they have gone, they keep their faces covered and they haven't been arrested and charged. That's been pretty
Right.
rare. And so the fact that we have a pretty good look here at who these men are and where they are from is really interesting. Now, there
Mm-hmm.
are two men on the list from Idaho, one from Genesee and one from Idaho Falls.
Where I hail from, my friends. How
Hmm.
great for me.
Uh, I read an interview with a man who he's a former FBI agent, a retired FBI agent, and his job was to infiltrate militias and hate groups and, keep an eye on them essentially.
Mm-hmm.
He says that he believes that this was a recruiting event. This was an attempt to come to northern Idaho, which is famed for being white supremacy
Where
central.
Ruby Ridge happened, you guys, like
Hmm.
it's, yeah.
And it's not as deeply seated in white supremacy as it used to be, but does have that reputation, and that events like this are attempts to recruit. So,
Yeah.
because of that, we really have to take a step back and look at what do we know about Patriot Front.
Mm-hmm.
And we know quite a bit, actually. It's interesting. So, according to the Anti Defamation League, they are a white supremacist group whose members maintain that their ancestors conquered America and bequeathed it to them and no one else.
Please.
They justify their ideology of hate and intolerance under the guise of preserving ethnic and cultural origins of its members' European ancestors. Yeah. They
Jackasses. I'm just going
Mhm.
to keep,
Yeah.
saying what's true when you say whatever they think. How's that?
They spread their propaganda via the internet and by distributing banners, flyers, posters, and stickers. And there's a lot to know about the stickers. We'll get there. It's interesting.
Yeah.
In 2020, Patriot Front transitioned from using explicit anti Semitic language and white supremacist language in its propaganda to more cover bigoted language. The cover is patriot.
Right. Always,
Hmm.
I'm just a patriot fighting for my country.
Yep.
Bullshit.
Somehow the word patriot and patriotism has been, used to represent xenophobia, anti Semitism, and fascism.
Yep. Yep.
Patriot Front is responsible for the vast majority of white supremacist propaganda distributed in the United States, representing 80% of all propaganda incidents nationally in 2020.
Wow.
80%,
That's interesting because there's
which would
only
make
what,
you,
like 220 members?
yeah, it would make you think they're a bigger group than they are.
They're trying to look big.
They work hard to look big. Uh, they they participate in localized flash demonstrations across the nation as recruiting events as well as intimidation events.
Yep.
So here's a few tweets uh, and statements that their members have made that I felt was interesting. America is our nation, passed down to us by our fathers, and so long as we live, the enemies of our people will not stand unopposed. Enemies being anyone who's not white
And
and
apparently male because they're all male.
under 35,
Yeah.
because you can't be in Patriot Front unless you are 35 or under and in good physical shape.
Yeah.
They are required to exercise and report to their fitness leader to prove that they're doing the exercises that have been prescribed to them. And if not, they are called out and publicly shamed and beat up on by the leaders. And yeah, they mean it. They're
These
not even
guys.
nice to the idiots that join. They're actually pretty cruel to them.
Yeah. Wow.
So, this is another tweet. American identity was forged in a struggle between civilizations that ended in victory for our ancestors. Oh,
Yeah, bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
I call bullshit on colonialism right there. What a bunch of
Mm-hmm.
shit.
The American identity is not merely given upon birth, but it is seized through the potential of one's blood and the extent to which they fulfill their natural duty to their people.
Oh,
They're
boy.
so gross. So, back in 2017, in August, there was an incident with Vanguard America. I don't know if you guys remember this, but this was
Yeah.
at a rally where it was a Unite the Right rally,
Yep. In
you know, more
Charlotte.
of this nonsense in Charlotte. And Vanguard was there. And Vanguard is a well known or was a well known white supremacist group.
Right.
And one of the members of Vanguard drove his car into a crowd of protesters and killed one person.
Yeah.
And Vanguard pretty much split the scene after that and stopped using that name. And the people that were there suddenly weren't a part of Vanguard anymore. It's a
Well,
miracle.
they did that whole event unmasked
Yeah.
and got doxxed like crazy, as they deserved
Mhm.
to, and a lot of them lost their jobs, and they got in huge
Mhm.
trouble because they didn't
Yep.
conceal their identities.
Mhm. Yep.
And they seemed to think that was just gonna be okay, you know?
Right.
And it definitely was not.
So this guy, Thomas Ryan Russo, Thomas was the passenger in the van in Coeur d'Alene. He is the founder and I don't know, do you call him director or grand high dumbass or something
I like
of
Grand High Dumbass
Patriot Front?
best.
Yeah. So he was the director or the guy in charge of whatever, however you want to classify this, to Vanguard America in Texas. So after
Mm,
this happened and Vanguard America kind of went poof, he started up Patriot Front and started gathering up members.
mhm,
So that's what we know. He was already had access to things like their servers, their website, and he just started removing other people in power and just taking himself over. Yeah, all of it. So there was another man by the last name of Hopper, who also Dylan Hopper, who was Vanguard's group national leader.
mhm,
And Hopper says that on June 20th, Thomas underhandedly and deceitfully exiled me from all Vanguard Discord servers that he controlled due to security reasons. I logged off, and when I got back an hour later, I was banned from every single server, including the women's server. It was literally a coup with the guys that I left to handle family matters. Weird. Trouble amongst the ranks.
Darn, I got kicked out of my favorite white supremacist group. Wow, wow, buddy.
So hard.
Ugh, gross.
Yes. So, at any rate, now here we are with this group, with Patriot Front. So, Patriot Front only has about 200 members that we are aware of. There was a group well, it's actually happened multiple times, groups that have infiltrated Patriot Front to
Mm,
get a better look on the inside at what the
mhm.
hell they're doing. And, that's how we know some of the things we know about them. There's a, there's a group called Unicorn Riot
Mm, mhm.
who infiltrated them and was able to download a shit ton of their message board stuff and publish it. So I'll put a link in the show description so that you guys can check it out. But what they learned from it was some of the stuff they were doing, some of the plans they had to to grow themselves and to look bigger. One thing that they were doing is creating a lot of fake social media accounts.
Oh.
And then, like, for example, they had held a protest or a riot, rally, whatever, somewhere, and then they were instructed to use those fake social media accounts and make comments that supported what they were doing and also inflating their numbers. So from their fake accounts, they were commenting things like over 500 people there and stuff like that to
Mm-hmm.
try to make them look bigger than they are.
Mm-hmm.
But let's talk about the stickers.
The stickers.
So the stickers have really been, and flyers too, but the stickers have been kind of the big bread and butter. The stickers that have been placed all over the US. Well, the members are required to put out a certain number of stickers every month, and they're required to purchase the stickers at a pretty steep markup from old Thomas Russo.
So, in other words, the dude is supporting himself in this stupid,
Yeah.
dumbass little boy army gang.
Mm-hmm. And if you don't buy the stickers and do the job, you're in deep shit. They are given assignments through their message boards that they are supposed to carry out. One of them is buy the stickers and put them out. Another is to print flyers and pass them around. Uh, there was a time last year where, in some of the messages that Unicorn Riot got a hold of, that Thomas said that they were desperate for new members, couldn't seem to get out of that 200 range, and were just absolutely berating the members to get more members right away. Well, I'm sure so. Thomas wants to sell more stickers, bro.
Right?
But then,
He needs to pay the rent.
right. A part of the, the part of that whole scam, of course, scammer's going to scam, right? Where have we seen this kind of shit before?
Right,
Hmm,
exactly.
one more grift. Well,
Well,
the other part of that, there's the exercise, of course. There's the buying the stickers and everything that you're supposed to post on social media, that you're supposed to gather up, fulfilling all of your assignments. Also, you're required to come to these kinds of events. It's really surprising that there was only 31 people there. They showed up in Philadelphia last year with 200.
well, Coeur d'Alene is not the easiest place to get to.
No, it
I
isn't.
mean, you can just jump on a plane and end up in Philadelphia.
Mhm.
I mean, Coeur d'Alene has an airport, but it's not that big. I mean, you'd probably have to fly into Spokane, and like
Yeah.
it's not that easy. I can see
Mm.
why.
Well, and they're already giving up a good part of their income to old Thomas to buy their stickers, and then they're required to show up all the time to his dumbass riots, and,
Right?
I mean, I'm guessing it's gotten pretty expensive to be a member of this club,
Kind of sounds like it.
and most of them live in their mama's basements, so I
Right. I
don't know
mean,
if
come
that
on.
part's true. I made that up. To be fair, that was an assumption on my part. But you had heard that some of their stickers have been being seen in our area.
Yes, yes. I was just told this evening that their stickers have been seen in Shelley, Idaho, which is a tiny little town, a farming community about 11 miles from Idaho Falls, where I live.
Mhm.
Very, very concerning to me
Yeah,
because they're
absolutely.
recruiting young men, you know, the
Mhm.
kind that like to shoot up schools and stuff.
Mhm.
It's the same demographic, really.
Well, and the kind whose brains aren't fully developed yet, who
Right,
are super impressionable, who maybe have had hard times in their lives and are looking for some guidance and for some family or some community, and
right.
they're finding these fools.
Yeah.
It's interesting to me that the leadership in this group is quite abusive, according to an article in the Guardian that I'll post, as well as what we did see from Unicorn Riot. That it's they're pretty abusive with their members, but these guys are here for it, which is
Hmm.
that tells you a lot about who they are.
It does. It really does, unfortunately.
Hmm. Yeah. So I think that's most of what we know. Of course, we do know that they're going to have to pay the piper. The other thing that we know, and this is what I really thought when they were first arrested and the pictures of them were first coming out, and you could see the looks on their faces. I thought they didn't think this would happen in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. They
No,
thought
they
that law
didn't.
enforcement would be more than happy to look the other way and let them pull their bullshit here. They really thought
And
that.
historically, there's been some of that in
There
Coeur
has
d'Alene.
been.
I mean,
There has been.
honestly, the fact that the police Well, so many things went right, you know?
Mhm.
Somebody saw something and actually called the police.
Mhm.
The police believed them, pulled them over, arrested them immediately.
Mhm.
It it does my heart good in that there are some good things happening,
Yes.
and, even in a place like Coeur d'Alene, and Coeur d'Alene is
Coeur
but
d'Alene's like, "Listen, our homegrown terrorists are one thing,
yeah,
but y'all coming from other states in here to pull your terror, we're not having it."
right, apparently. I mean, I would like to really see them charged with conspiracy to commit terrorism.
Well, we'll see what the FBI does
Yeah.
because they have their charges
Mhm.
from the city of Coeur d'Alene, but they could easily have more charges coming from the
Right.
FBI. There could be federal charges coming down the pike as well, especially because they had that organized manifesto in the truck with them
Yeah.
all about what they were here to do and what their plans were. They had a schedule and everything gridded and mapped out where they were going to go and what they were going to do. And those things aren't going to be good for their team.
No.
Uh, thank goodness they never made it to the park.
Oh,
So we don't have to wonder what was going to happen there. Well, maybe we do, but
we do.
we don't have to, you know, see a city burying a bunch of people. It's not usually these guys' way to do physical harm that we know of, but you don't know when an incident could get violent. You don't know, especially because there were already members of the Panhandle Patriots group there that did have weapons. Like, you just don't know. You cannot know how this could have gone and how serious it could have been.
Right.
And
Well, and
this park was full of kids.
yeah. But guys, this is Idaho. I don't care. Most people are armed here.
Mhm. Mhm.
Whether they're participating in pride or protesting against it,
Yeah.
there are guns everywhere.
Yep.
And that is scary to me that it
Mhm.
could have ended up in some kind of crazy shootout.
Yeah. Yep. Yep, without a doubt. It's all scary. All of the what ifs are really scary.
It is. But something right happened here too, and we have to remember that. We always have to look for the good too and the growth and change. And this
Mhm.
was good growth and change. Coeur
Yeah.
d'Alene police jumped right on it and stopped it.
Yep. Big props
Now,
to them.
yeah,
But because of that, the police chief did another press conference today indicating that members of Patriot Front are pissed that the police did this to them,
yeah.
and they are actively doxing the police in Coeur d'Alene, publishing their names, faces, addresses to their followers for people to come and harass them.
Well, and they're getting death threats called into the
Yes.
police station.
Mhm.
That is how arrogant and stupid we are dealing with here, that
Mhm.
you are going to call in death threats. But I found it interesting. The police chief said that the calls they are getting are about
Mhm.
50-50,
Yes.
50 death threats, 50% thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for
Yep.
doing the right thing, for protecting
Mhm.
people, that kind of thing. So
Yep.
interesting stuff. It doesn't surprise me that this happened in Coeur d'Alene because it's such a challenged community
Mhm.
around white supremacy and around
Mhm.
just
Bigotry and
hate
yeah.
in general. There are
Mhm.
very good people that live there. And
Mhm.
then there are these shitheads and the
Mhm.
Idaho version of them.
Mhm. Yeah. Yep. Interesting. And of course, as soon as it happened and hit the internet and hit the media, reading through comments, especially from the Coeur d'Alene area, from their news sites, are
Mhm.
chilling. People
Yeah.
who wildly support them also, of course, beating the same old tire drums that this is actually Antifa, this is actually the feds, this was
Yeah.
organized, this was just to make them look bad, blah, blah, blah. Baby, look at the mugshots and the
They're
names and
right
the
there.
addresses. Nope. These are real human people that are involved in this group that
Mhm.
showed up here to riot. It's
Yeah.
true. It's happening. Yeah, it's so wild.
It is. And that kind of misinformation and lying bullshit, I'm just so
Mhm.
it's just background noise. Like it's gonna
Yep.
come, but give me a break.
Just like the people who are now claiming that Uvalde, Texas never happened. Yeah.
Oh, Christ. Yeah.
Yep. It's predictable at this point.
It is.
Laughable, but predictable.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But we constantly say, see something, say something,
Mm-hmm.
speak up every time, anything that looks suspicious. And that person that watched those men load into that moving truck saved the day, you
Yep.
know? And it seems like it shouldn't be that hard, but for a lot of people, it is
Mm-hmm.
to make the call and say, look,
Mm-hmm.
something's not right here.
Mm-hmm.
And these guys are well known for arriving in moving trucks
Yep.
full of these men. They did
Yep.
it in Philadelphia. They've done it in other places.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah. In
I'm
Philly, it was
grateful.
Ryder trucks. It was 3 Ryder trucks that they
Yeah,
showed up in.
yeah,
But when they did this in Philadelphia, uh, the locals weren't having it, and they basically chased them back out to their trucks.
yeah,
They
which
ran from the
good.
locals.
Yeah, it
But
was supposed to be a recruiting event. It did not go
mhm,
well.
nope. But the fact that this time they were unmasked
Yep,
and we can see their faces, know
yep.
who they are. I read someone online that said, "Is it sad that I had to check this list to make sure none of these were my kin?" And I thought, "Nah, because I did the same thing."
No,
Yeah.
not at all. And there's a man on this list who lives in this town where I live.
Mhm. That's an interesting one too.
Hmm.
His last name is Jessup, and I was doing a little poking around wondering where this person lives, and someone told me that they know a very large Jessup family that live outside of Idaho Falls that are polygamists who
Yeah.
just run their family farm. They don't work anywhere. They stay right at
Hmm.
home and run the family farm, and he thought that this kid was a part of that family, which I thought was interesting. Doesn't necessarily mean he is, but that's what their take was from knowing them,
Hmm.
that they thought this was one of their kids. But
Hmm.
anyway, interesting stuff. It seems like some tides are changing. How is it that this group has existed since 2017 and they can't seem to get more than 200 people involved?
Maybe
And
that's
they've
good
done a
news.
lot of attempts to recruit, particularly those expensive little stickers.
Yeah. Well, apparently, I hope that means it's good news. You know?
I think it does mean it's good news. I'm cautiously optimistic that that does mean it's good news, that there's a lot more love than hate in this country, and there's a lot more people who recognize that if you don't like pride events, don't go.
It's
It's
so
actually that
easy.
easy.
Yeah.
If you don't want your children to attend a pride event, don't take them.
Yeah.
This isn't that hard.
It isn't. It isn't at all. And we cannot sit back and let these little shitheads just intimidate us.
No,
You know?
no,
No,
not going to happen.
no.
So kudos to the concerned citizen, kudos to the Coeur d'Alene police,
Hmm.
and to all involved that managed to keep the peace here and allow the pride event to finish up without any incident, other than this, but for everyone to be safe and okay. So,
Well, and um, I don't know. I had another one for your list. And here's hoping that the FBI can land some federal charges on these fools.
yep,
We cross
yep,
state lines to do this stuff, and I'm hoping that's going to result in some stuff.
it could.
Where's
It sure could.
conspiracy to commit terrorism?
Yeah.
We need to call it what it is, and that is
Mm-hmm.
terrorism, because that's
Mm-hmm.
what this
These are
is.
domestic terrorists. Absolutely. Well,
Hmm.
and if nothing else, a bunch of their names and faces were just exposed to hit every watch list in this country.
Yeah,
And that's good too.
and employers,
Yeah.
do your best.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we
Yep.
don't have to put up with any of this bullshit.
No. Nope. No, we do not. So there you have it. Well, Christy, that's it. So I'm going to turn the mic over to you for our last segment. And I know that this, of course, is say it because now I can't remember.
It's a crime update.
Crime update. God damn it. I did know. I knew it just it didn't show up.
It's all
Thyroid,
good.
serious thyroid brain today. That's fine. Yes. Here we go with a crime update.
Here we go. On want to talk to you about Mark Middleton.
Hmm.
Mark Middleton was fairly well known in the Clinton administration, and he's from Arkansas.
Okay.
He passed away in May of this year, and there
Okay.
are a lot of questions about his death.
Oh.
He was a Little Rock businessman, had some pretty significant links to Jeffrey Epstein, including being in his black book.
Oh boy. Okay.
He was also the person that admitted Jeffrey Epstein to the White House many times during Clinton's presidency.
Really?
So Middleton
Wow.
was 59 when he died. He was found hanging from a tree by an extension cord with a shotgun blast through his chest.
Whoa.
And that's been called suicide.
Oh, of course it has.
It reminds me of Kurt Cobain. How do you kill yourself twice? Why
Yeah.
would you kill yourself twice? Like,
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of questions. His family wants everyone to shut up and not talk about it. They're suing the cops to not release any information, and they're saying that
Wow.
he was depressed. And I think they're just trying to keep themselves and their family and his name out of this as much as possible. But you
Yeah,
have to
seems like it.
question, if you were going to shoot yourself with a shotgun, why would you also hang yourself?
Yeah, why?
Apparently, he's like
And
stood up on
how?
a picnic table to do it and then shot himself and then he hung. That's what they're saying. Although, I don't know, guys, come on. Let's think about Jeffrey Epstein and how Jeffrey Epstein died. And
Mm-hmm.
there are so many questions around that. And
Yeah.
his name was in the Black Book. So
Wow.
I don't know. I wanted to bring it to our attention and bring it to everybody's attention because I think it's something we need to be aware of. Yet again, someone involved with Epstein is dead
In a very suspicious
in
way.
a very suspicious way.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Don't you think it's an absolute miracle that Ghislaine Maxwell is still alive?
I do. They
I
must
do
have
too.
such tight security on her.
They must, because
Now,
what?
the sheriff will not comment on this because it's an open investigation.
Okay.
So I don't know if they really do think it's a suicide or not. That it's being called that.
Is it
There's
being
kind
called
of a
that more by his family?
his family, but apparently that's also what the medical examiner has said. I don't know.
That just
Again,
does not track.
why do you kill yourself twice? This part doesn't
Right.
make sense to me. Also, there is a woman named Ashley Haynes, and she was found drowned in the Arkansas River.
Okay.
And there was a very similar extension cord tied to her ankle with a concrete block to like sink her into the water.
Really?
And there's some scuttlebutt, and this is unconfirmed, so just be aware. There's scuttlebutt on the internet that she knew Mark Middleton
Oh.
and that they had been meeting regarding some important financial things.
Oh, interesting.
So
Okay.
there's some stuff going on there. I think we just don't know. And of course, his family is doing everything to try to keep it hidden. They are
Mhm.
quite prominent in their community. They own an HVAC company. And I'm
Okay.
sure there's a huge part of this where they're just trying to protect their family,
Their business.
their
Yeah.
business. But if this is related to his involvement with Epstein, we need to know
Yeah.
because yet again, Ghislaine Maxwell has been convicted of sex trafficking, and yet to whom?
Yeah.
Besides Jeffrey Epstein, to whom?
Yeah.
Right? So his name is in the Black Book. His
Hmm.
name is on the flight manifest many times of the plane, Epstein's plane that
Wonder
went
if
to his
his
island.
name was a part of those. Well, I guess not if we already know it's in the book, but
Yeah, it's already been released that it was in the Black Book. You know,
uh-huh.
Epstein's jet, the Lolita Express,
Mhm.
he had flown on it, and Epstein made 17 trips to the White House between 1993 and 1995 while Clinton
Mhm.
was in office, and 7 of those were authorized by Mark Middleton.
Wow.
So there's quite
Interesting.
a lot of connection there. So there are a lot of questions. So I just felt like we should bring it up, be aware of it. This
Mm-hmm.
is what's being said about Mark Middleton and his death. I am going to always come back to the question of why do you kill yourself twice? It makes
Yep.
no sense at all to me.
No.
So we'll see.
Interesting.
The
Well,
internet's
hopefully
pushing
there will be
pretty
more.
hard. Yeah,
Yeah.
people are not letting this one go. And so I think we'll probably see more eventually. Fingers
Good.
crossed. Unless Middleton's family really prevail in keeping everything private. But I just don't think that's okay.
No, it's not. And they probably won't. That's a pretty desperate effort that probably
Mm,
won't pan out. But
I would hope so.
yeah. All righty. Well, there you have it. That's a jam-packed episode of all kinds of
Right?
nonsense going on. But now you know. So, thanks so much for being here. We're going to be back tonight at 7 p.m. with case updates.
Yes.
Huge stuff going on in the Harmony Montgomery case,
Oh, yikes.
as
Yeah.
well as several other really interesting things happening. So, we're going to be here. We'll talk all about it, 7 p.m. Mountain, and
Hmm.
then another live stream tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Mountain for the Psychic Hour. So, lots of good
Yes.
stuff happening. Thanks, you
Hmm.
guys, so much for being here. We appreciate you so much. Please like, share, follow, comment. Also, there's a brand new function here on YouTube called Super Thanks.
Oh,
Super Thanks
yes.
is a way that you can tip an episode, not just ours, but anyone who has it turned
Hmm.
on, to put a little, send a little money their way to thank them for the work that they're putting in. And honestly, we make very little money on YouTube. We're mostly just here because we want to be. And so
Hmm.
we appreciate every little bit of help like that. No pressure whatsoever. But if it's ever something, if we ever put out an episode that just really touches you or grabs you or that you feel like you want to give us a little extra tip for, that's how you do it. And it comes highly appreciated.
Certainly.
And of course, you can find our Patreon over on
Hmm.
Patreon, True Crime Paranormal, and we have 2 episodes a month that come out there. We have about 200 episodes built up over there now. So if you want to come be a patron, you'll get a little extra us. A lot of times we do episodes over there that we don't feel safe or comfortable putting out to the world for various
Hmm.
reasons. Either it's just too hardcore true crimey for YouTube, or the podcast, or it's something that for our own safety we're not putting out publicly. And there's
Yeah,
been a few of those recently,
there
but
have.
you can catch them if you subscribe to our Patreon. So
Yep.
thanks so much for being here. This has been yet another production of True Crime Paranormal with the Psychic Sisters. Take care.
Thanks, everybody.